Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and bringing you to this word. This is from the Etamon Online. It is civil war. It says battles among fellow citizens or within a community, from civil in a sense of occurring among fellow citizens. Attested from late 14th century in Batal Ciuel, or civil battle, etc. The exact phrase civil war is attested from the late 15th century. The Latin phrase was bella civicus, an old English word for it was inguine. Ancient Greek had polemos epidemios. Early use typically was in reference to ancient Rome. Later in England, to the struggle between Parliament and Charles I. Charles I was King James's son, and this battle that it's speaking of, this was marking the end of Israelite rule in Europe. But this coming civil war that will be here in Babylon, that's going to be marking the end of Edomite rule throughout the entire earth and forever. It says in the U.S. to the War of Secession from 1861 to 1865, an application often decried as wholly inaccurate, but in use among other names in the North during the war and boosted by the popular battles and leaders of the Civil War series published in 1884 to 87 in Century Magazine. And we're not here to talk about the old Civil War. We're here to speak on the new Civil War that's coming to the shores of Babylon, to America. And so I've got this article. It's from Newsweek. Just came out yesterday, December 20th, 2023. And Thawada Anah, he just posted this in the group. I was going to use another article just speaking on Donald Trump and how he won't be on the ballot in Colorado. But here's showing both that and what the Republicans are doing in retaliation. So it says Republicans threaten to take Joe Biden off ballot in states they control. And so it says Republicans are calling for President Joe Biden to be removed from state presidential ballots following a Colorado court ruling that Donald Trump is not permitted to be on its ballot next year. In a 4-3 decision on Wednesday, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that the former president violated the 14th Amendment, which bars public officials from holding federal office if they have engaged in insurrection. So this is all going back to the January 6th stuff. And this is going to, I'm sure there's some Trumpers that have flipped tables already in this decision, because they put all their hopes and dreams and future into Donald Trump coming back and leading them into a great America again. But this place is falling. This society, Western society in general, is falling, and that's because the Lord is bringing the Edomites out of power. He's taking them out of the rulership. As it says, Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. And so they had a temporary blessing, and they are at the end of that blessing. So Donald Trump cannot nurse them back to health, nurse them back into rulership. It says in November, A lower court in Colorado had agreed with the plaintiffs. A group of Colorado voters, including Norma Anderson, a petitioner and former Republican majority leader of the Colorado House and Senate, that Trump engaged in insurrection over his behavior during the riot at the U.S. Capitol in January 6, 2021. During the siege, Trump supporters stormed the building in protest of his election loss. Trump, the frontrunner of the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, has denied all wrongdoing and has not been charged with insurrection. Which, if he hasn't been charged with insurrection, how can they pull this off with taking him off the ballot? That seems, seems like they'd have to charge him first, basically, because otherwise it's just false charges. It says he has argued that courts do not have the authority to bar candidates from the ballot under the constitutional provision. Now some Republicans have said Biden too should be removed from state ballots, though it is not clear on what constitutional grounds. Newsweek reached out to the Republican Party via email for comment. And actually, let's keep on reading a little bit more. Anthony Sabatini, a Republican running for Congress in Florida's 11th district, also previously served as a Florida state representative, wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "Remove Biden from the Florida ballot now." Speaking to Fox News, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick suggested Biden should be removed from his state's 2024 ballot due to his administration's response to immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border. Seeing what happened in Colorado makes me think, except we believe in democracy in Texas, maybe we should take Joe Biden off the ballot in Texas for allowing 8 million people to cross the border since he's been president, disrupting our state, Patrick said. And it's more like, why don't you Republicans have him have a mental assessment on him, because that alone should bring him from the ballot. It says political commentator Gunther Eagleman posted on X. Eagleman, what an Edomite name. Said posted on X that Biden should be removed from the Texas ballot after the Colorado ruling. Peachy Keenan, a conservative commentator and author, took it a step further, writing on X, "All red states should immediately petition their courts to remove Biden from the ballot." The Colorado Supreme Court said in its ruling, a majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. President Trump did not merely incite the insurrection, it added. Even when the siege on the Capitol was fully underway, he continued to support it by repeatedly demanding that Vice President Pence refused to perform his constitutional duty by calling senators to persuade them to stop the counting of electoral votes. These actions constituted overt, voluntary, and direct participation in the insurrection. And so, Satan's children are going at each other back and forth, and they are divided. They're heavily divided. And Yahushua spoke on this. That's why we went into that word civil war. And while we're going to go here to Matthew verse 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And so this being Satan's kingdom, he came in with division. He, from his start from back in the Roman kingdom, they had this two-party system between the plebeians and patricians, and in this revived Roman Empire, they have another two-party system between the Republicans and the Democrats, and that already brought division, but that division is just multiplied and multiplied to where, Lord willing, they start shedding each other's blood very soon. And that'll be just one of the many ways in which Babylon will fall, between the civil wars and the civil wars here, as well as the people invading one another, just the complete downfall of this society, of its economy, of people believing in one another. It's going to turn very cold. And then it's going to go into, there's also going to be world wars going on, the nukes going off, Yahushua returning, and the end of this place is desolation. And it says, "And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan," and those Edomites, the self-proclaimed white man, they are the children of Satan. They're Satan's people, just as the Israelites are the Lord's people. The Edomites are Satan's people, because he has a people too, and that's who he brings his lies and deception through, as well as the violence and everything left on the left side. He brings that through the Edomites. Not that there can't be wicked of the other nations, but Satan's people are those Edomites, and they are in rulership currently. It says, "And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand?" And so this bickering and division between these two sides, it's going to erupt, and this place is not going to be able to continue, because it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be, prophetically, it's this place, Babylon the Great, or America, that has to be brought down before the kingdom of heaven can be established, the kingdom of Yahushua and the Israelites. And so all of Esau's power has to be taken away, and that includes the beast as well, NATO and the EU, as well as the other heathen nations. All rule, power, and authority has to be put down, and Yahushua shall reign. And this is prophesied, so we're going to go to Isaiah 19 in verse 2, and it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians." And this isn't speaking of ancient Egypt. This was written well after the salvation from the Egyptian kingdom. This is speaking of a future or a prophetic Egypt, and that being right here in Babylon, that being right here in America. America, or this kingdom, is an amalgamation of all of the previous kingdoms. It's a little bit of Egypt, it's a little bit of Rome, it's a little bit of Greece, a little bit of Babylon and Assyria, and the scriptures refer to it as that. It'll call it by those different names, and it's a little bit of Sodom as well. And in Revelation 11, you see it called Egypt and Sodom. And so it's speaking of this prophetic place, this mystery Babylon, which has been identified as America. And it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians," so Americans versus Americans. "And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." And so these people are going to fight. They're going to go at each other, just like they did in the Greek Empire and had that brought down. They're going to do it again here in America. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. Lord willing, we see some Edomite battles going on very soon. And yeah, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakach, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, and shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.